Hello, everybody. This is Teacher Levy, and today I will be making a different video. Notice different with my friend Luke, and we will be doing a conversation style video. And I will ask him questions, and we will have a conversation about different topics. I would also like to say that there are lessons available if you would like to speak with me. And I have recently started a members program which you can join, and I will be adding exclusive, notice exclusive content, which will be available for those members who join. Today or tomorrow with Luke, we'll also film exclusive content specifically for the members. So I will introduce Luke and how I met him. I actually met Luke on the elevator. So it was a random encounter, and we can talk about that later. Notice later. Let's ask Luke. Luke, who are you and where did you grow up?
So my name's Luke, or Lucas Kelly. I grew up in northern Michigan originally, but I've lived all over the United States, as well as in parts of Europe.
Wow. So you're from Michigan, northern. Notice the north part of Michigan, northern Michigan. What is Michigan like?
Michigan is an interesting place. It's full of lakes. It has huge, huge lakes. Generally speaking, it's cold. I think it could be sort of described as maybe like America's Finland. It is definitely chilly in the winter. The winters are very long. The summers are short, but in the summer it's exceptionally beautiful.
Notice he said generally speaking. So, in general, Michigan is a cold place. He also compared it, notice compared it to Finland, a country in Europe. So, as you guys have heard, notice to hear, heard, I grew up in Connecticut. Notice Connecticut. Luke is from Michigan. These are different states in America. I also want to ask Luke, let's ask Luke, Luke, what is your job? Or we can say, what do you do?
My main profession is to serve as a corrective strength specialist. I mainly deal in preventing injuries or helping people to recover from injuries. I also own a jiu-jitsu club here in town, and although that's more of a hobby, it does provide some income. Primarily, I'm a corrective strength specialist.
And what does that mean? Corrective strength, to be strong, specialist, to specialize. What does that mean?
So I specialize in the usage of strength training techniques to correct issues in the body that can be related to posture, movement, or a prior injury of some kind.
So, posture, notice posture is how we sit or stand. A lot of you listening might work from home or have office jobs. So, some of you might have back pain, notice might, or chronic back pain, which is long lasting back pain, which you had for a long time, perhaps. Are there any exercises we could do to help our back pain, Luke?
Yeah, absolutely. From one individual to the next, the source of back pain will be different. So the structure, the way the body sits, the individual posture can be different from one person to the next. So therefore, there is not always a solution, a one size fits all solution, which is to say that the solution for one person may not be the same as for another person. But in general, strengthening the core and stretching certain key muscles, primarily in the hips, can really help people to recover from back pain.
Amazing. So we could make our core stronger. What is our core, Luke?
Our core, in this case, what I'm referring to is the muscles that are predominantly around the abdomen and also in your lower back.
So Luke said abdomen, which are notice our abs. Are ab exercises useful for helping with back pain?
Potentially, yes, which is to say, in the majority of cases, yes. For most people suffering from chronic back pain, they will probably do some kind of ab exercise to help on their way to recovery.
So you could give that a shot to try it, give it a shot, but we'll talk more about fitness and health and diet later. Now we'll talk a little about the US because Luke has traveled to many states and he has lived in many states. So I want to have him share his experiences and perhaps some stories from different places. So I know that you lived in California.
Yes, that's
And
right.
what was it like? California is Hollywood. A lot of people think of Hollywood.
Sure.
What are your experiences?
When I lived in California, I was in fact living in LA, which would be, excuse me. When I was living in California, I was in fact living in LA or Los Angeles, which contains Hollywood. Hollywood is within LA. During my time there, I was working in the film industry as a sound engineer. And my impression of California is mostly work related because that's what I did so much of when I was there. I think the things that struck me about California as especially interesting is that it is exceptionally arid, very dry. It's a very dry environment. That's not something I think that people necessarily would assume, but it's exceptionally dry. LA is in the desert, so it's in the desert. It's in an arid environment. Um, Aside from that, Los Angeles is an enormous city by American standards, maybe not by global standards, but it is an absolutely enormous metropolitan area, and tens of millions of people live there.
So notice as Luke is speaking, there might be words which you don't understand. So I'll put captions on the video. You could feel free to rewind, go back, and look at those words and try to learn from the context what he is talking about. And I will try to highlight some vocabulary that he uses during our conversation. A question that students might have is California similar to the movies? A lot of people watch Hollywood. They like Hollywood movies. Is it similar to that atmosphere? Notice atmosphere as we see in the movies.
I would say that California and Los Angeles in general are totally unlike the movies, with one exception, and that is that there are lots of iconic places that we see in TV shows and movies that you will just sometimes run into or encounter or happen upon in California, walking around in Los Angeles. Aside from that, the overall tone and character of Los Angeles is totally unlike cinema or totally unlike the movies. It's a environment and town which definitely puts work and professionalism first, and it is mostly centered around that, mostly centered around work.
So let's compare Michigan to California, and then we'll talk about other states. I'm curious because some students want to
Mhm.
move to the US. let's say they're working from home,
Mm-hmm.
would it be a better place for them to live in California or to live in Michigan?
I
Would you
would
say?
I would recommend for someone who is working from home and wanted to visit or live in the United States to avoid California for two key reasons. Number one, it's difficult to socialize in the cultural environment of Los Angeles. It is a outgoing culture. People talk to each other a lot, but it is also highly impersonal. People are not having very strong social connections in this environment. It's also exceptionally expensive. So if you're working from home and you're drawing your salary from somewhere abroad, odds are Los Angeles will be fairly expensive for you. Inversely, in a place like Michigan, Michigan is a cheap place to live. You should be able to live in a place like Michigan without making too much money, but it also may have the same issue that it can be socially isolating because it is a vast state with not that many people in it. There are only a handful of big cities, just Detroit, really, and the surrounding area are a true metropolitan area. Other parts of the state are fairly rural. Um, in general, if you can tolerate cold weather, Michigan would probably be a better choice.
Notice he said inversely. Great word. We have talked about on the other hand or on the other side. We can say inversely. Okay, so those of you who would like to visit California, I'll now ask Luke about visiting. Notice visiting. So let's say somebody's going for a 2 week trip. They want to see California, not live there, but go to some places. What would be some places and also some tips?
Mm.
Tips are recommendations. Some places, some tips you would say for them.
My recommendation for anyone visiting California would be to visit a location called Big Sur or to visit the Redwoods. I think these locations are very beautiful, but also highly unique. So, odds are, wherever you're coming from in the world, there probably isn't a direct equivalent to the Redwoods. And also, Big Sur is similar to some Mediterranean coastal environments. So if you're not from the Mediterranean and you're not from a coastal environment, it's probably very unique for you.
Notice coastal, near the coast environment we have talked about before. I would like to ask, these are national parks. Redwoods is.
A redwood, yeah, the redwoods are a national park, and actually, I'm not certain about Big Sur. I know that it's a location. I've been there before, but I'm not 100% certain of its you know legal positioning as a state park or something like that. I don't know. Maybe it's just a town.
Yeah, I
Uh,
don't know. Notice, guys, or girls. Guys, we can say if there are also women or girls, we can say, hey guys, hey guys. We can say for both men and women. So, guys, don't be too worried. Notice worried about saying things perfectly. Try to find a flow in your sentences where you can get in the habit of thinking, speaking quickly, and don't worry too much about making mistakes. So let's move on. To move on is continue and talk about Hawaii. Hawaii is a vacation spot.
Hawaii is a very popular vacation destination in the United States. It is itself a state, but it is also an island chain pretty far off the coast of the mainland United States.
Notice island chain. We could say chain of islands. Also, island, not Iceland. We want to pay attention to the pronunciation of island. Hawaii is famous for its beaches and for the culture as well in Hawaii. You have been there and have lived there. What is your experience?
I liked Hawaii a lot. I was training jujitsu there. I enjoyed my time training there. The beaches are incredible. One aspect of living in Hawaii that really stuck with me as being interesting and unique is that although it is a chain of islands, most of the people live on one island. And you'd think it would be the biggest island, but it's not. It's one of the smaller islands, and it contains most of the population. It's a surprisingly small area. Um, Sometimes you get the sense that you are really trapped on a tiny little place because it's not impossible, for instance, to ride a motorcycle or an electric bicycle all the way around the island and then all the way back in one day. Very small location, actually.
Would it be a good place for people to live, to move to from a different country, or only good for vacation?
Hawaii also, like Los Angeles, is very expensive. Actually, more expensive than Los Angeles. I think it can be an interesting place to live, but you will want to make sure that you have a good salary and also enjoy the lifestyle.
So the sun is setting. Notice setting. The sun is setting, so it's going down, setting. And I'll ask Luke as well about Florida. If you have been watching me, I have talked about Florida with a story about going to Gatorland. Have you been there?
Maybe. I'm not sure. Where is Gatorland?
It's near Orlando.
I don't think so.
I think.
I think I went to a place called Gator Alley, which is
Ah.
similar enough in name. It's just a road, but there's a lot of alligators on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the same. Is it a park? Like a you?
No, it's like a stretch of highway they call
Ah.
Gator Alley,
Okay.
and it crosses right across the Everglades,
Oh,
which
okay.
is a massive swampy area, and alligators come up next to the roadside a lot. You see
Wow.
them there. Yeah.
Ah, okay, by the Everglades.
Yeah.
So Luke lived in Florida as well, and Florida is an interesting place because of the wildlife and also for going there in the summer. It's a beautiful place, and it's warmer. It's in the south. What's your experience with Florida? And then we'll wrap it up to wrap up the conversation. What's your experience with living in Florida?
I like Florida. Florida is also, by comparison, much more affordable than California or Hawaii. It is more so on par with Michigan, not as cheap as Michigan, but it's more in line with that. It has very nice beaches, and there's a lot of opportunities in Florida. Um, it's hot most of the year, and it does also have hurricanes, which is a massive type of enormous storm that comes off of the ocean. In general, I like Florida, and I think it's a good place to visit in the United States.
Amazing. So, guys, if you have questions for Luke, you can write them in the comments. Thank you, Luke,
Thank
for
you,
your
Lev.
time. And of course, some questions won't get answered, but some might. If there's a question that appears a lot in the comments, we could do another video, and maybe for the members, Luke could answer about living in America, living abroad outside of America, and traveling. So, and also about fitness, but we will talk about that next time with Luke. So, hopefully, this was helpful. Write in the comments any tips or suggestions for the next video or a similar video like this. And thank you for all the support. all the feedback. If you found this video helpful, you could like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.